Revenge is one of the most powerful storytelling tools in fiction. It fuels characters, drives conflict, and, when done right, it leaves an unforgettable impact. 91 Days is one of those best revenge stories in anime, not because it glorifies vengeance, but rather because it unpacks it in a way that feels raw, complex, and deeply human. This anime doesn't just tell a revenge story, it deconstructs it. In this breakdown, we'll analyze how 91 Days crafts one of the most compelling narratives about revenge, exploring its themes, characters, and storytelling techniques that make it such an unforgettable experience. At its heart, 91 Days is the story of Angelo Lagusa, a boy whose family was massacred before his eyes by the Veneti crime family. After surviving the ordeal and escaping the city of Lawless, Angelo disappears, until he receives a mysterious letter naming those responsible for the murders. That letter ignites the entire story. It's not just a call to action, it's a reminder of everything he lost. Angelo sheds his old identity and returns under the name Avilio Bruno, embedding himself within the Vanetti family to destroy them from within. But what makes 91 Days stand out is that it doesn't follow a straightforward path of revenge. Angelo isn't a righteous hero, nor is he a mindless killer. He's a broken man, haunted by his past, using cold calculation rather than blind rage to achieve his goal. Many revenge stories in fiction rely on immediate action, seeking justice through a quick, satisfying confrontation. 91 Days, however, takes a much more methodical and realistic approach. Avilio doesn't simply march in and start eliminating enemies. Instead, he patiently infiltrates the Vanetti family, earning their trust, waiting for the right moment to strike. The slow burn makes the anime incredibly engaging. Every interaction, every decision Avilio makes is calculated, yet it never feels predictable. The tension builds as we watch him weave his web of deception, knowing that sooner or later, everything will collapse into chaos. This realism is what makes 91 Days stand out. In real life, revenge isn't easy. It requires patience, manipulation, and a willingness to become something unrecognizable. Avilio understands this, and as a result, his story feels disturbingly believable. Great revenge stories don't just focus on action. They explore the emotional and psychological toll that vengeance takes on the protagonist. Avilio is not the same person by the end of the series. The further he goes, the more he loses himself. Throughout 91 Days, we see moments where Avilio struggles with what he's doing. He isn't driven by rage alone, he is haunted by emptiness. The man he should hate the most. But despite everything, Nero is not the pure villain Avilio expected. He is charismatic, loyal, and genuinely values Avilio as a friend. This complicates everything, forcing Avilio to confront the reality that vengeance is not as simple as he believed. As the story unfolds, Avilio becomes colder, more detached, and ultimately realizes that revenge doesn't bring peace. It only creates more death. His transformation is tragic, and that's what makes his arc so compelling. Many revenge stories have clear-cut villains, characters that the protagonist and the audience can rally against. But 91 Days avoids this trope by making Nero Vanetti a complex, layered character. He is the son of the man who ordered the murder of Avilio's family, yet he is not a typical monster. Nero is someone who values loyalty above all else. He has a vision for the future, wants to strengthen the Vanetti family, and is willing to do anything to survive in a world where betrayal is constant. Over time, he and Avilio form an unspoken bond, making their inevitable confrontation far more painful. This anime doesn't give us the satisfaction of a purely evil antagonist. It forces us to question whether Nero truly deserves the fate Avilio has planned for him. This is what elevates 91 Days as a revenge story. It refuses to make things easy. It makes us feel the weight of every decision, every betrayal, and every consequence. One of the most debated aspects of 91 Days is its ending. After all the bloodshed, the betrayals, and the carefully laid plans, Avilio and Nero are left alone, driving toward an unknown fate. The final scene is haunting. Nero stops the car by the ocean. Avilio walks ahead, and then nothing. We do not see Avilio die, but the implication lingers in the air. This ambiguous ending is what makes 91 Days such a masterful revenge story. It refuses to give closure. It does not tell us whether Avilio found satisfaction in his revenge, or if Nero chose to spare him. Instead, it leaves us with the uncomfortable truth. Revenge does not heal. It only consumes. 91 Days portrays revenge not as a path to justice, but as an endless cycle. The more Avilio kills, the more bodies pile up, and the more meaningless everything becomes. Lawless is a city ruled by blood, and no matter how much one tries to change it, violence will always return. Unlike other stories where revenge brings closure or catharsis, 91 Days shows that revenge only leaves emptiness behind. Avilio gets what he wanted. He dismantles the Vanetti family. He kills those responsible. But does it really and truly satisfy him? By the end, there is nothing left for him. He has no home, no family, no future. His journey ends not in triumph, but in a quiet, lonely uncertainty. One of the most painful aspects of 91 Days is the friendship between Avilio and Nero. They should be enemies, and yet, throughout the story, there are moments of genuine camaraderie between them. The friendship makes the betrayal even much more heart-wrenching because deep down, neither of them truly wanted things to end this way. 91 Days is not just a revenge story, it is a character study, a crime thriller, and a tragedy all at once. It takes everything we expect from a revenge narrative and twists it into something deeper and more haunting. With its slow-burning tension, morally complex characters, and gut-wrenching conclusion. It is a tale that lingers long after the final frame, not because of its violence, but because of its humanity, and that is what makes it unforgettable. If you love psychological battles, complex characters, and stories that stick with you long after they end, this anime is a must-watch. So if you haven't watched it, make sure to check it out. But if you have watched it, let me know what you think of it in the comments. Thanks for watching, subscribe, and I'll see y'all next time.